this is bullshit.
Stressful?
No, not yet.
Not
It
yet.
will be. But first things first, welcome back to the Mom Life Podcast with me, your favorite mom, and then these two guys.
Yeah. What's up?
Hello.
So before we get started with today's episode, this is going to be an episode that airs before the St. Paddy's scavenger hunt. So if you hear this, there is still time to get signed up. And as of right now, the weather is looking fantastic for next Saturday, March 21st. And teams of 4 to 6. Jeff, I'm certain, has so many great things planned for that day. We'll be
Coming together.
It's all coming together. So if you're hearing this in real time, make sure to get a team together because it is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm, for one, excited that we have another gorgeous day. We had a gorgeous day last year, and that just makes for the whole event better. And then, of course, Ed on Wine, Brandy has arranged food trucks and music, live music. And so it'll be a lot of fun to hang out with everyone after the scavenger hunt ends.
Yes. And once it's all over, then that relieves some stress for me.
Are you stressed today?
No, not really. But
Does he ever get stressed?
yeah, I get stressed. Everybody gets stressed.
I have a feeling he gets stressed, but I think there's a good point to be made about that. I think we all handle stress in our own way, and what
sure.
some people can make it look easy, and some people can make it look
Chaotic.
and
Well
some
known.
people can make it look. And Josh, I will say that yours.
I'm probably a balance of the two of you.
You're like easygoing. Like if I'm stressed, like you both are probably going to know fairly quickly within us having a conversation about something that could potentially be stressful. I'm going to start talking faster, talking more, which I don't know how I could talk more because I haven't stopped talking since we hit record, but I will start. There's going to be signs of my stress. And I think that's true for a lot of moms.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, everybody's got it. There's no avoiding stress. It's just, where does it pop up? How does it pop up? And the reality is stress is kind of the root of all evil to ourselves. Like anything that we're struggling with, having trouble doing, especially things that we say, oh, that should be easy. And then it's not. It's not that the task got harder. It's somewhere inside of you, there's a stressor that's making this thing more difficult. And that's what we're going to chat about today is, how do we figure those things out? Because, to solve your, any struggles that you're having, figuring out what that stress is that's making things so hard, that's where the answer lies. How do I relieve this stress that's making eating a piece of fruit challenging? Because if I just asked could you eat a piece of fruit every day, most everybody's like, oh yeah, that should be easy. And then they try it and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. 1 week later, check in. Hey, how did the fruit go? Well, and then they just, some of and that's just one small example of it, but it's amazing. This like the bananas I bought were green. Not that that's stressful, right? But like they just like this, they start coming up with all these reasons why the said thing they wanted to do didn't happen. And then that's where I feel like the stress sets in because then it turns into, like you said, that I should have been able to do that.
Yeah. And then some smaller stress now is just, it's piling on. Now you have two things that are stressing you out. The thing that I said was easy, I couldn't do it. That's stressful. And I still haven't figured out the one, like the internal thing that's stressing me out that I have no idea is stressing me out. That's where the challenge is trying to peel back all the layers and figure out what is the one little thing that's like, oh man, if I change that little thing, everything else will start to unfold and become simple like it should be, or as simple as I want it to be.
So where do we start?
And that all sounds really simple.
Yeah. If that made any sense to anybody whatsoever.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
when we talk about it, and when we're even like when we're in a conversation with a client out on the gym floor, whatever we're working out, we're talking about these things that again are seemingly simple. It sounds so simple, but what happens when the session's over, you walk out the door, the to-do list is running, life happens, the stress happens inevitably. We're not immune. The people who look like they have it figured out, their stress response might be different, but we're all experiencing these things.
So that's the hard part, because, we could sit and have conversations about what people should do all day long. That's the easy part. What should you do? That's easy.
Talking about it.
Easy. Super easy. Having the conversation, but then going home and, making it happen when you're stressed out about stuff, that is where things get real tricky. And that's where makes conversations a little bit more challenging to have with people. Is it's got to shift from, okay, how did your fruits go? Well, now, why couldn't you do it? What's really, people can say a lot of, you can tell yourself everything you want. Oh, like you said, the bananas were they were too green, or there are too many spots on them. There's only a perfect window for them, blah, blah, blah. There's something else in there that we have to find, and you have to find internally if you actually want to make changes, and then learn how to find the cues to be self-aware. And that's when you are in, what I would like to say, in control. When you know that you're stressed, you're picking up on the cues that it's happening to you, and then now learn how to manage it. Mm-hmm. If everybody learned how to do that, we'd be in a really, really good place. Nobody'd be mad.
Well, maybe out of a job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, working out would be easy.
I tell people that all the time. Like, we wouldn't be here if when we're talking about perfection and people wanting to make changes, like if it were just that easy and you could just be perfect, then I wouldn't be sitting here today. There wouldn't be a podcast likely, and Pulse wouldn't exist, because we would all just be doing everything perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, let's just, maybe if you guys have any examples, I'll just give you a couple for myself, I guess.
Let's hear Mr. No Stress.
Yeah. Let's just use eating out, for example. Like, for lunch for me would be, I would probably say sometimes it would, instead of it being a choice, like, oh, I wanted to go to Subway or whatever, something came up, or, the kids were animals in the morning and threw everything off where I couldn't get everything quite done. Not that I wouldn't have time to still do it, but now it's just easier at that point to just go hit the easy button and stop somewhere and grab lunch. Would be an easy example. Or if just something happened where I just didn't get something done, or trying to get a project done here at the gym, and it's like, I'll just stay here a little bit longer and keep working on it. I'll just go grab something because I no longer have time to eat what I prepared or go home like I was originally planning. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, that all makes sense.
Absolutely.
And so then, just throwing another example that would be relatable for me would be, maybe let's say I worked out at 4:30 on Tuesday night, but my son got sick at school and I had to pick him up at 2:00. He's fine and I can leave him. He might even be old enough to stay by themselves, but I'm immediately canceling my evening because this stressor got thrown in the middle of my day. And now my brain is no longer functioning on what I had planned to do. It's now on the wrench that got thrown in it, right? So like the stress immediately takes over, and it steals your path forward, right? It steals the plan that you might have had in place. And if you're not good at practicing your plan, then it's easy for it to just go off the rails.
Yeah, and you had no thought whatsoever. Like, I think some people, it happens to them and they had no clue that they didn't even know what happened. Mm-hmm. You just got punched in the mouth, and this is just where I ended up. Holy shit, how I just got here with no clue how it even happened. And all of a sudden they're, at a drive-through line. Like, shit, I don't even know what just happened in my day that I'm sitting here right now about to order food. I would say is a fairly common theme.
Absolutely. I think once one thing unravels, I think the process just continues of things that you get somewhere and you don't even know how, why, or where you are. And if you're not careful, and we've talked about this many times, that those times they will spiral into longer than just days, right? Then because it becomes more habit based. Like, your habit is to get stressed and then check out.
Yeah. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan to get punched in the face.
Never heard that. I'm not surprised.
Well, my punch in the face this week, and I think probably a lot of folks are dealing with this right now, is you think you have a plan for kids' sports schedules for the week, and then on Sunday night you start getting messages from coaches, oh, we're adding a practice, or we're moving this practice. And this week for us, it's all these like 7 to 9 o'clock practices in Edwardsville, or, and I go to bed and that's a stressor to me. So we were able to adjust to a certain extent where Monday night we were home. So I made food and we got stuff. So we're not in the drive-through line, but it's still a stressor, like getting the kids all to where they need to get, because we still have to work. And like I said, I like to go to bed at night. So that's a main, so I try to maybe grab a little nap during the middle of the afternoon so I can be there later and still, it's keeping that routine, but that part stresses me out.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea is that, we all had a plan in place, and then something happened that made what should have been easy now just became challenging. And really the big thing is now, how do we overcome that? Yeah. You guys have any strategies that you go to overcome when you get hit in the mouth? I'm gonna keep using Mike Tyson.
Gosh,
I like Tyson.
Never been hit in the mouth. So, so the moms that I'm working with, that's a major thing that we're going to work on right away, because chaos is going to happen, right? The stress is going to happen. So one of the things that is the most important that we work on right away is planning. Planning, and then that's great. A plan is great. We want the plan to be perfect. But the reality is we need to learn how to pivot the plan. And then I also agree with you, being aware of it, being aware that the punch in the face, mouth, whatever happened. And now my reaction is what really matters. Like, it's out of my control. This stress that came up is out of my control. I had a plan. My plan is changing. I'm aware of it. And how do I pivot? And so I think it's really important that if you're not able to look at your plan and pivot, then that's for me, that's where I would start with somebody who's brand new to just trying to navigate this and trying to figure it out. This is not about perfection. This is about just being aware and looking at it. So being aware of when the stress hits and what could a pivot look like for me this week if this comes up.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can't pivot unless you have a plan to pivot from. And for us, like, things didn't work out for us the way they intended this week, but because we had a plan, I was still able to make the food, still able to do it. It just was on a different schedule than was originally planned. So we pivoted.
Yeah. Being able to pivot, but that comes with its challenge in itself.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when things come up or things change or the plan changes, is to not react. I try to not do. I try not to say fuck or this or that, because that just enhances stress.
But it helps.
It doesn't. A good fuck every now and then does feel good, but it helps every now and then. But ultimately, if you really want it, it's actually say, okay, this happened. Take a deep breath. And that might just be all the time that you need to actually process what happened and how to make whatever pivot you need to make, whatever change needs to happen. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to ask for help?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's time to come up with some really good questions. What can I do here? And who do I need to help me do this?
Who do I need to help? What's worst case scenario? I like to ask myself a lot of questions. Go through that process. Well, if we don't do this, this is what's going to happen. What are my worst case scenarios here if I do or don't do something? I play that game with myself with really about everything. If I buy this or whatever, or if I don't go do this, what are the consequences, or what's that positive outcome, and see where things balance out at. That's how I make a lot of decisions. But again, not reacting is the first thing that helps me make a pivot, is just try to look as calm as could be. When somebody tells me something that's kind of shitty, it's like, okay.
That's good. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah.
So if you just see me say, okay,
Yeah, I know. I'll be like, oh no.
That's him going, oh.
What kind of questions is he asking now?
what's he talking about me inside of his head? No,
What did
shit,
he
I
just
gave away my
say?
cue.
Yeah, darn it. Thanks for that. That's great.
There's your insight on me.
Yeah,
Now you got my tell.
And I know for moms, like a lot of times when the plan doesn't go as planned, the evening, the day, the week is jammed packed, right? So we're saying this, and again, it sounds simple, right? You're like, oh yeah, I'll just ask myself these questions and then everything is great. So we realize that that's not going to be like you're not going to be like, oh, thanks for the advice. Like, because we're already living in like this stressed out environment already anyway. And so more when we get to that point, it's not that simple. But again, if you've ever listened to our podcast before, I know that you will hear us say, practice this technique, practice what we're saying today. The next time you want to say, you say it.
Fuck.
The next time you want to say it, just instead of saying it, just take that deep breath, pause, and start running through the really good questions about how do I get to the solution instead of focusing on the problem and wanting to just cuss over and over again. And it's fine later if you want to call your friend and you want to vent about it and you want to say the F word, 50 times. But at the moment when it happens, it's good. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to somebody today, tomorrow. I mean, it's going to happen tonight. Like, it's going to happen. It might happen to me in 2 hours. I just don't know it yet, right? So practice the pause, practice thinking about, what the questions might be. And you might not know until the situation happens, and that's fine. Because obviously we don't want to walk around and be like, everything I do is going to get screwed up today, so what am I going to do instead? However, there is a technique that I do like to use sometimes when I'm working with somebody who is creating a plan for the first time, because again, that's not always easy either, but it's the if then. Yeah. If I can't go on my walk Tuesday night because it rains, then I will go Thursday night, right? So these are just things that are built in when you're working on a plan so that you can start thinking about the if thens so that they're just available and you're not just coming up with them on the fly. But again, practice. That's another technique that you can practice because it helps to know, like, so something didn't work out. You're like, cool, if that didn't work out, then I was planning to do this. And then somehow it, that makes it lighter, right? It feels a little bit lighter and you don't have to, get super stressed out. You might just get a little like, ugh, I had really hoped, but I've got a backup plan.
Yeah. I got one more
Okay.
thing that I think I do a pretty good job of this, is I don't blame anybody else when something happens. Do my very best not to, you did this to me, oh man, they screwed me over, they effed up my day, they whatever. I don't go
Not
into
laughing at you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You can laugh at me
No,
even
go
if you were.
Funny, that's because Tina blames you all the time.
Yeah.
Don't.
Not playing, just really staying away from the victim card, because that's so easy to, then you go, because when you said venting and stuff, it's like, yeah, man. And I get venting.
I just meant like you just needed to vent to a girlfriend.
Nope, I get it.
And guys,
But sometimes-
And you did say later on
After you did.
Yeah.
But that it made me think of like,
Yeah.
okay, I can see where people start venting, and it's just all this victim mentality stuff where somebody did this to me, and then by the time you spend all this time blaming somebody else, you put no thought into correcting the problem or fixing the thing that you really
the
want.
venting is more just like telling the story to somebody just to get it out of your head, not that you were blaming someone.
But it just made me think of that.
So I have an example from this morning of victim mentality. Bill doesn't listen to the podcast, so I'm safe, I think. So apparently at the parking garage he parks at in St. Louis, they lowered the things that come down when you go in to the garage. Well, either they didn't tell him or nobody knew, but the top of his truck got a little bump this morning. He thinks it was just an antenna. But when I talked to him on the phone, he immediately got very upregulated and started like saying a lot of stuff. And like, I was like, okay, well, I have to go into work. I'll talk to you later, because it was like getting heavy into like, so that's an example though, of something like that might be ruining his day right now, because that's like, instead of just being like, okay, it happened. Do I need to reach out to the parking garage company? Is there damage? What do I need to do? But not just sitting there and thinking about how mad you might be that thing happened that's like totally out of your control, but it did. And it's not going to do you any good to just like get really, really, really angry and start saying a lot of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was why I started laughing. As soon as you started talking, I'm like, oh, it just happened this morning.
Well, I'm glad that you find the humor in Bill's stress.
Well, I don't want him to be stressed. If he listened to this podcast, he would know that we were going to he would take a pause and say, okay, this really sucked. What do I need to do to fix my vehicle if there is something wrong? And I know that's something that I know I struggle with it. Road rage, hello, if you ever get cut off in traffic, like what do you immediately do? You start yelling at that no good whoever who passed you. We can't say it, but
we know it words.
Yeah, so we know we're all dealing with this.
Yes.
That's how we know we're not immune to it. And if we're wrapping up, I have one more thing.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I have one more thing to say. So
promise?
Not really. Our goal is to always keep things simple for you, right? If you've listened to us for any amount of time, if you work with us one-on-one, if you come into the gym, you know us, that we're always trying to look for ways to make things easier for you so that you can live a better life, so that your stress level can go down. We can't get rid of stress, that's impossible, but we can help you manage it better. As a mom who's been in a position before where like the top of a mountain looks so high that even taking one step forward looked super stressful, just keep in mind that one of the biggest things that I would even have a mom do if she's not ready to make a plan, maybe she just needs to ask for help. Maybe she just needs to reach out to whether that's a friend or a family member or somebody like us to help them say, you know what, I deal with what you talked about. I can't break this cycle. I can't get out of it. So, that's where your first step would be to actually just ask somebody for help. Look for help and then doing the things that you don't know how to do. Because I would say one of the biggest things that we all see with our clients is once they start practicing some of the things we're working on, they're like, oh boy, I really wish I had known this 10 years ago, 5 years ago, however many years ago. I just wish that I knew that I didn't have to stay in this place of not knowing where to go and just staying so stressed out that moving forward just felt impossible. So that's it.
Yep. Pivot. Ask for help.